Hey, what's going on YouTube? Welcome back to another King Jace video, and today we are going to be announcing a new series on this channel, primarily just focusing and discussing street photography tips. Now you can call these tips, you can call these lessons, you can call it whatever you want, but what I want to do is instead of making a do-it-all video and just compiling a bunch of stuff into one big entire video, I want to go ahead, slow it down, break it down, really fall deeply into discussion about certain topics on street photography. This will not only benefit me because I'm one of those people that retain information as I teach it, but this will also be able to help you guys out if you guys are interested in street, or maybe you already shoot street, overall just trying to help you guys grow as photographers and also grow myself. So let's go ahead and just jump right in. Now the title for today's video is called Wait For It, and this was greatly inspired recently by a photo that I took. Okay, so now I want to start off by giving you guys a little backstory about the image. So I was walking around with Drew, my girlfriend, and we were walking through Walnut Creek, which is infamous for shopping and stuff like that. And we were walking past this construction site, which has this, in construction sites, they have that little tarp wall. But what I realized was that, there's these really nice butterflies. So I'm like, Drew, let's walk down that way. And so I'm following this long, maybe it's like 100 feet of just tarp construction site. And I'm following the little butterflies that are on it. It's kind of doing this little wave formation. And I'm like, you know what? That can make for some really interesting leading lines. And so I kind of stopped for a second and I looked back. But the little part that I was at, it wasn't too interesting because there wasn't an end. So I wanted there to be, the last butterfly, just kind of that end of the entire wave. And so I told myself, let's walk down a little bit more. And so we did. And then I found this scene right here. As you guys see here, there is some butterflies, and my primary goal was to use these butterflies as a leading line. As you can see, I looked for that very end of it, and I waited for that, and saw that all of these butterflies were leading upwards. So initially, that was the first thing that caught my eye. Now, I knew that I wanted to frame this correctly, so I was out there with the Voigtlander Bessa, by the way, with the 35mm, so I had to step fairly close. And I was looking through the viewfinder, and I was going ahead and trying to compose the image. And at the very top, you have these 3 light bulbs. And I was thinking to myself, I want to make sure that all of these edges don't have too much clutter. I don't want it to be distracting. And so instead of pulling out, I kind of, maybe took 2 to 3 steps in. And I got these really nice light bulbs at the top. And I knew they weren't extremely distracting because, it's kind of like repetition within it. There's 3 of them. If you split the image in half, it'll be perfectly symmetrical. If you look at the bulbs at least. And, I wanted to use that as a compositional element as well. Looking at the bottom of the frame, you have a little bit of clutter. It's the very bottom of the fence. And so I tried to get as much of that as I could out while also trying to keep this little butterfly right here at the edge still in the frame. And so I wanted to keep that into play. Now, I sat there for a second and then somebody walked by and I took a photo, and it was of a lady. Now, unfortunately, I don't have that photo. I actually didn't scan that one in. But the lady just didn't fit. She was a little too short, and you see this little butterfly right here. She was too short to a point where, she was under that. And so I kind of waited, and I told myself, you know what, I'm going to wait a little bit more. Now, this is the lesson that it taught me. You have to wait for the scene. Sometimes in street photography, we want to take photos and we want to keep moving. But one of the most important things that I found out was that it's good to take maybe 5, 6, shoot at least 50% more of the photos that you usually would on a particular scene if you do find it interesting. If you find a composition that you really like and you set it up, I think it's worth it to be able to waste, maybe even the entire roll on that particular image, as long as you can get a really nice one. And so that's kind of what I did here. You kind of have to wait for it. And so the first lady walked by, I snapped the photo. It didn't look right. She was too short. Another gentleman walked by, but he was a little bit too tall. And so I just kind of waited and I sat there, and you kind of have to be patient trying to find the correct subject and be very picky with what goes into your frame, what you shoot. And maybe about 10 minutes passed by, and Drew's like, all right, are we going to move on? Or are we just going to sit here? And I told her, I was just like, all right, give me 1 more minute. And luckily, it was, there was nobody else walking by for maybe the next 2 minutes. Until I saw a couple walk by, and it was of an older man, and then this woman and his wife, I think. And what stood out to me about them was that they were dressed in business clothes, which isn't, it's not uncommon in that area, but it wasn't fitting the entire attire to what everybody else was wearing. Everybody was just wearing normal street clothes. And so that instantly brought me to a red alarm, like a red flag, like, okay, they're different, they're interesting. And, they're walking and inching closer towards my composition that I already have set up. Literally, my camera is ready to take the photo. Now, keep in mind, I'm shooting on the Bessa, which is a film camera. And so I knew I only had one chance to capture the scene, to capture the photo, because I won't be able to shoot, snap, you know what I mean? Because they are going to be walking by. It's quick. And something that I didn't realize until after they walked through the frame was that the man was hunched over, which only added more drama to the scene. So they're inching closer and closer and closer, and I pull my camera up to my eye, and right as they walk into the frame, snap, I click it, I advance forward, and then I watch them walk out of the frame. You can't really do anything after that because I really wanted to make sure that they were in the left side of the frame here, so that it kind of leads towards these butterflies. Now, what I'm going to do really quick is show you guys here something that I made sure to pay attention to. Now, you guys see the little butterfly. We talked about this earlier. And this butterfly here played a big part in this image because I knew that when the person walked by, I wanted to make sure that this butterfly was still showing. I wanted to have every little single butterfly in there because it adds more, I feel like it adds more feeling into it. Because all of the other butterflies are bigger and this one is smaller. The thing that really surprised me about this image and how perfect it was the man was the perfect height. He was the perfect medium between, tall and short, I guess you could say. He perfectly fit straight in to this butterfly here, which eventually just leads down this way. So, you have two very strong lines, one going up and one going down. And also the direction that they're facing is also leading you down this way. So, that adds more juxtaposition. You have butterflies going up to the left, and then you have these two people going to the right. And something that I really, really enjoyed as well is that this woman right here has black jacket on. She has a black jacket. Now, can you just imagine if that jacket was maybe, white, or maybe if it was a lighter color like pink, how the film would render that color? It would be more light, and there wouldn't be a lot of contrast between her and her husband and the background. And so, I feel like that would be very distracting in the image. So, luckily that black jacket only added to it. Now, paying attention to their facial expressions, you can see here that she looks fairly, I wouldn't say disappointed, but, she doesn't look like she's smiling. And as well as the man here, I think the man right here really sells it for you here. Hunched over, he has this, very, very, very modest facial expression. And, he just looks different. Something different than what everybody else looks like. So I think in combination with that and the leading line, it's where it really makes the image. Now, going back to, waiting for the scene, I shot maybe, I think, 5 to 10 shots on this particular frame. And the importance of waiting is you really have to be picky. You have to be essential with what you put into the frame and how you compose it. One thing like we're doing here, the technique that I use is something I feel like a lot of photographers call the fishing technique, and that is to find an interesting composition, go out of your way, and then just go ahead, compose the image and wait for your subject. And a lot of photographers do this for a number of reasons. One, because it allows you to set yourself up. There's no rush to it, and you can kind of, put what you want in and then take out what you want as well. Also, a great thing about this is that when you slow yourself down and do this, you also have a lot of time to think about the image. And the more time you have to think about it, the better you're going to be able to compose your shots and such like that, instead of just going out and, kind of spraying and praying. So this is one of the things that, I recommend you guys try out. Go out there, find a really nice composition. This image right here is actually really flat. Maybe it's, maybe if you crouch down at a lower angle and you find some really nice leading lines, or like Cartier-Bresson, he used this technique in his famous image of the staircase and then the biker that came through it. That was very similar to this image because he waited for the biker to come through. He knew he wanted to use the railings as a leading line to, I guess you could say, go ahead and show that the biker is in motion as well. And so, this technique has been used so many times, and I really recommend you guys try it out because it kind of puts you in this place where you're relaxed to a point, but you still have full creative control of what goes into your frame, what you put in there, your composition, and such like that. So I guess you could just say, wait for it, be patient, shoot maybe 5 to 10 more photos than you actually would on the scene, and really try to capture, that image, the one usable image. So that's kind of the tip that I have for you guys in this one. It's just waiting for the scene. Find the interesting composition. By the way, while you're out there and you're waiting for a subject, some things that you can do is to make sure to pay attention to the outsides of your frame, the very edges. You want to make sure that there's no clutter, or there's nothing that's going to distract you or distract the viewer of the image after you take the photo from what you want the person to look like. So watch your edges, compose your shot, whether you use leading lines or you're using juxtaposition and such like that. And also try to find contrast, whether it's the person that is wearing a certain colored jacket opposed to the wall. You want to make sure that your subject and your composition in your background kind of not go against each other, but work with each other in order for each other to make each other stand out. Sorry, is that a little confusing? But that's a little tip I have for you guys today. Wait for your image, wait for your shot. Be patient, because the more you wait and the longer you wait, the more time you have to compose and control your shot. And also slow yourself down in street photography is not a bad thing. So that's the tip that I have for you guys today. I really hope you guys took that and enjoyed it. If you guys have any comments, suggestions, or anything else like that, just feel free to comment down below. I know this one was a little quick, but we are going to have so many more street photography tip videos to be posted in the future. But I hope you guys take this and enjoyed it. If you learned something new, give it a thumbs up. But yeah, thank you guys for watching another episode here on King Japes. And as always, Minolta gang.